Hello, faithful, and welcome to the 49ers Plus podcast. I'm Al Moriello, and this is your source for the most objective 49ers discussion. Only smart takes, never any clickbait. And today we're going to be discussing some thoughts I had about the trade deadline coming and going. Niners not making another significant move. I'll explain to you why that's totally okay. We are officially at the midway point this season. Want to discuss how the Niners have performed, what my expectations were. We'll even look back at this past offseason, the decisions that the Niners have made to let players go, and we'll discuss all about how that has worked out. Before we jump into the full breakdown of the Rams at the 49ers this Sunday, I'll give some keys to the game and a prediction. So let's jump right in. I'm recording this on Thursday morning, so two days-ish. After the trade deadline. And as we all know, the 49ers did not make a move, or we'll call it another move. And per Kyle Shanahan, they looked into a ton of things, but the price wasn't right. What they were willing to give up didn't align to what, other teams were asking. And like everything else, it takes two teams to tango, right? Anybody out there that says, oh, the Niners should have made a move no matter what, et cetera. Well, then, the next time you go to a car dealership and you're looking to purchase a car for $30,000, but the dealer won't come down from 37, 38, or 35, then shell out that extra money. Because I guarantee you won't. Unless it is a car you are absolutely dying to have. I rarely know people that pay sticker price or above what they are willing to pay, whether it's a car, a house. I mean, you can't really mention things in stores because those are set sticker prices unless you want to start negotiating groceries or whatever you're picking up at Kohl's or a department store or even online at Amazon. It's not Madden. You can't turn the salary cap off. You can't sacrifice the future in favor of the present when it's a year that the Niners are not one player away. Let's just be completely honest with that. As exciting as the season's been at 6-3, this is a completely ravaged team where no one player would have made the difference between the Niners making a Super Bowl run or not, right? Because that's ultimately what it's about. Teams that are going for it, like the Colts bringing in Sauce Gardner, are healthier. I know the Eagles brought in Jalen Phillips. They are healthier and a better overall team roster structure-wise than the 49ers. And then you have the morons of the world like the Dallas Cowboys making trades out of impatience, essentially because Jerry Jones doesn't have a lot of time left. And at 3-5-1, they still have an outside shot at, a wild card. But do you really want to mortgage your future like Jerry Jones, who we all can say has not had the best track record the past decade plus when it comes to making moves? That was a desperation move. The Cowboys are a glamour franchise and they're playing like a poverty franchise, getting beaten on Monday Night Football by the Arizona Cardinals, the high-flying Dallas Cowboy offense, doing nothing against a very mediocre or worse Arizona defense. So you have to take emotion out of it and look at things objectively when attempting to make a trade. Now, the Bengals were not coming off of a first-round pick reportedly for Trey Hendrickson, and he's been a bit injured, on the wrong side of 30. Productive pass rusher, don't get me wrong, has led the league in sacks the past two seasons, not so much this season, but he's going to walk next year. So you're not going to get a compensatory pick until 2027. Does that really help you that much? Does it put you over the top now? No. And does it help you in 2026? No. Kayvon Thibodeau, apparently the Giants wanted a first-round pick for him. No thanks. You got 2.5 sacks this year. You had a good 2023, an okay 2024. He'd be owed $15 million guaranteed next year. I'm not sure if the Giants would have eaten any of that. I'm not sure if maybe they would have if they got a first-round pick. Jermaine Johnson from the Jets. Jets wanted a second-round pick. 1 sack this year. Missed most of last year with an Achilles injury, so he fits right into the Niners' injured team aesthetic. But he's owed $13 million next year. Now, under contract next year, that's something that Kyle and John wanted. but that's a lot different than Keon White's $2 million that he's getting next year. And they had Bradley Chubb. Once the Dolphins traded Jalen Phillips, I don't think they're going to trade Bradley Chubb as well. 4 sacks on the season through 8 or 9 games, owed $31 million next year. In a vacuum, these moves didn't make sense. But remember, it's not just the pick, it's the money. You're going to give up a premium pick and have to pay close to a premium amount this year on the cap and next year for a lot of these players outside of Trey Hendrickson, when you have about $22 million-ish in cap space this year and $38 million in cap space next year. When it's all said and done, rolling over cap money, they'll probably have around $50 million in cap space next year, and they could still free up more cap space. If they want to move off of Trent Williams after June 1st, they can cut him and save another $24 million. So now you're at about $75 million of cap space for still a very good tackle, but a declining player. And at what point do you want to keep re-upping Trent Williams before the wheels totally fall off? The moves didn't make sense, and every player that I mentioned, no one else traded for him. It's not like the Niners were the cheap one. The Niners were being unreasonable. The Niners were being like Scrooge McDuck. Nobody gave the Bengals a first for Hendrickson or a first for Thibodeau or a second for Jermaine Johnson or anything for Bradley Chubb. Jalen Phillips, a third might have been palatable, but I can understand the outcry of Niner fans. Oh, you're bringing in a player that's 2 years removed for a torn ACL and last year was a torn Achilles. I mean, yeah, it fits in with the team, but I wouldn't want that, right? Coming off of all the injuries that they've had so far and the luck that they've had with injuries, it did not make sense. They are not a player away. You got to stop playing video games. You got to take emotion out of it. You have to look at things objectively. And I am not a glass half full person when it comes to the Niners. And I'm going to go over everything in the midseason report that I predicted and got right. Now, you may not agree with it, but all I know is my batting average is pretty darn high. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I'm going to lay out the logical case why things didn't happen. And for anyone that says the Niners didn't make a move, you are wrong. They've made 4 trades so far this season, which is actually a high number for any NFL team to make during any season. They traded Bryce Huff in the offseason, or traded for Bryce Huff. They traded for Sky Moore. So you got a defensive end. You got a punt returner and kick returner. They traded for Brian Robinson. You got running back too. And they traded for Keon White a week ago to help with the pass rush, the interior rush. And they brought back Cleveland Farrell. Practice squad, I know, not sexy, but they've made 4 trades and another acquisition to help out the pass rush. Not stars, I get it, but they're not one player away. Would everybody have felt better if the Bryce Huff trade was made on Tuesday? Think about that for a second. The Bryce Huff trade was made 3 months ago. But would everybody have felt better about it if that actual trade happened 2 days ago on Tuesday? I tend to believe yes. Just like when they extended Diamador Lenore during the season and fans were complaining that the Niners weren't signing anybody during free agency. What about Demo? What about Brock? What about Kittle? What about Warner getting re-signed? And Huff was traded for a fifth that could turn into a fourth. Sky Moore was a 6-7 swap with the Chiefs. Brian Robinson, they gave the Commanders a 6th. Keon White, a 6 to the Patriots. These are not heavy early draft picks, but they've traded 4 draft picks, or 3.5 if you want to consider, a pick swap. They've given up assets, and they've given up lower assets for players who will outperform that draft pick whenever it's made. I understand. So there's a lot of things going on here where they're 6-3. It's a year where you didn't expect them to be 6-3. They're ravaged by injuries. You want them to take a shot and then just get in the tournament and see what happens. I get that, but it feels like it is still about this year, but it's more about next year when you have more players coming back with Ayuk 2 years removed with, who knows how much Brock's going to play this season. You're going to get Mike Hell back. You're going to get Bosa back. You're going to get Warner back. You're going to have free agents coming in. There will be free agents, coming in. There's going to be another draft class. They're going to get younger. They're going to get faster. They're going to get potentially cheaper in some areas. They're setting the foundation to build a sustainable team while still having Brock and Demo and Warner and Bosa and Michael and Alfred Collins and Mustafa and Pearsall and Kittle and maybe Ayuk and Pooney on the line. And who knows if Trent Williams is going to be here. Those are the foundational pieces of your team. And then you supplement around them. You can't, it's not baseball. You can't spend like the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets without any sort of repercussions. In the NBA, I know there's the aprons, salary cap or salary tax, which there is in baseball also. But if you have a wealthy enough owner like the Mets, Yankees, and Dodgers, dude, they don't care. It doesn't really matter. So I understand 6-3 and nothing's promised in 2026. I get it. Nothing's promised. But you have to be realistic about how competitive the West, as competitive as the West is, the NFC is still open. There's no elite team in the NFL. As good as the Colts were at 7-1 before losing badly to the Steelers, you want to say they're elite? You think that if the Chiefs go in there in the playoffs that they're not going to beat Indianapolis? Come on. New England, are they elite? No. Bills, are they elite? No. Like, you have a whole grouping of really good teams, but there's no far and away great team or teams this year. Philadelphia looks, as nice as their record is, not the world beaters that they were last year. Lions, great, lose at home to the Vikings. Packers, great, lose at home to the Panthers. I mean, it's a week-to-week league. Seattle looks, really, really good. Who knows? They may lose their home game. Is it Arizona this week? You just don't know. And who knows how injuries are going to affect all these upper echelon teams. You lose Darnold, you lose Stafford for an extended period of time. You lose any of their receivers. So much can happen. The way that the Niners have been bitten by the injury bug, if another team gets bitten 20%, 30% that, their season's going to be derailed. The Niners are a playoff team. And let's actually segue into where they are at the halfway point. Before the season started, I made my predictions and I had the Niners at 11-6. I had their ceiling at 12-5, their floor at 9-8 or 10-7, but I settled on 11-6 for a relatively healthy-ish Niners team. Now, we don't have anything close to that, right? Not even close. And they're still 6-3, exactly where I had them at this point in the season. I'm sure other people had them somewhere close. I'm sure other people were more doom and gloom, especially when injuries hit. They're going to be below 500, not any good, etc. I don't think anyone had them at 7-2 or 8-1 right now. But as a fan, with everything that's happened to this team, all the gut punches they've been dealt, losing players literally every game, probably the past 5 weeks. And they don't lose backups. They lose starters. They lose Pro Bowlers. They lose All Pros. They lose stars. They are not losing Joe Schmoes. They're bringing in some Joe Schmoes because they don't have a choice. They need to field the team, but they're also attempting to bring in players that fit the system, that fit a certain role, and that have the potential and promise to maybe help them beyond where they were on someone else's practice squad or buried on the Patriots roster in Keon White's instance. Cleveland Farrell was with the Chargers practice squad, got released. The Niners scooped him back up. They're very fortunate. He's not a world beater, but they're fortunate a Cleveland Farrell was available. But how can you not be ecstatic that this team is 6-3 and stop being negative with, well, I'm going to go into the game and I'm just waiting for someone else to get hurt. And why bother watching? They're not going to win the Super Bowl. And why this and why that? Enough. And I am probably more a pessimist than an optimist, but I'm taking a great amount of entertainment and satisfaction watching this team scrape and fight and claw and never be out of any game. Their 3 losses. It's not like this is a team last year where the game was over by halftime or they're getting the doors blown off. It was an 8-point game against the Bucs until they kicked a field goal with 2 minutes to go. Jacksonville, they handed them that game with 4 turnovers and allowing a punt return touchdown. they are in every single game that they've played, and they really haven't blown out a team. I said last podcast that the Giants game was the first time they were up by 17 all season, and it was twice in the fourth quarter. They're 3-0 in the division. Big divisional game coming up next we're going to talk about. 6-1 in the NFC. Half a game back of Seattle and the Rams, who they both beat, in addition to the Cardinals. It doesn't feel like a Super Bowl season. It doesn't. But we also don't know what this offense could look like when at some point Brock returns, at some point Pearsall returns, and hopefully at some point Ayuk returns. And Kyle was on record saying that they're not opening his window this week either, which I'm not shocked about. Now I would say after the bye. For the last 4 going into the bye, give him another week's rest and come out the last 4 weeks and try to get hot. If the Niners win 3 of their last 4, you're telling me the media is not going to view them as, one of the hot teams to look out for. It always happens that way. It doesn't matter if you get the bye. Look at the Lions last year. Got a bye because beaten by the Commanders. And even with all the injuries that they had on defense, they should have beaten the Commanders. And they didn't. As good as Sam Darnold played for the Vikings for 16 games, shit the bed week 7 or game 17 and shit the bed in the playoffs at the Rams. I'm not saying he's going to do that again, but that's his MO. If I had them 6-3 healthy and they're 6-3 as a walking mash unit, how can you not be happy about this? Stop pissing and moaning. Can't tell you what to do as fans, of course, but just think about it. You're getting 9 weeks and counting of enjoyment and a competitive team for a season that should be lost. Look at the Commanders. Jaden Daniels is down. Dan Quinn is supposed to be some sort of defensive mastermind. That team is garbage, 3-6. One good season does not make a good team, right? Look at the Vikings taking a big step back. The Cowboys are bad. Right now, the Chiefs are out of the playoff hunt. I'm sure that's going to change in coming weeks. Baltimore on the upswing, but 3-5. There's so much more that could have gone wrong record-wise. And the Niners are in it, and they are firmly established as a playoff contender, if not a straight-up playoff team. We're going to get to that momentarily. Now let's go back to the offseason where everybody, especially the dumb talking media people who have no idea nationally what they're talking about, and even some of the beat reporters and a lot of the content creators out there, I'll exclude myself and because of what I called and what I'm going to go over, and some of the other smarter ones out there, but I don't post a lot on Twitter. I don't post a lot on Instagram or anywhere else, really. I make my videos, my audio that I upload to Spotify. I'll make an announcement on like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and that's kind of it. And whoever comes and watches, I'm very grateful for. If you're listening or watching, thank you so much. But I'm not out there like treating Twitter or X like my diary. That if I have a good bowel movement, I need to share it with the world. Or, something happened with the Niners. Let me tweet this. And tweeting dozen times a day. It's for engagement. And the vast majority of it is shit. Because there's not enough smart stuff to talk about on a multiple times a day basis to make it worthwhile. But they do them. I do me. But here's what I know. The offseason where far too many people were bitching and crying and whining about the Niners not re-signing everybody under the sun. I called it all. I called it beforehand. I agreed with it during. Charvarius Ward, midseason, knew he was gone, especially after Demo got the extension. No way they're paying 2 high-priced cornerbacks. Greenlaw, injury-prone. No way they were paying 2 high-priced linebackers, especially after Warner got the extension, I think, after that, but he was getting paid a lot anyway. Talanoa Hufanga, injury-prone, not worth it. Not a playmaker at times, but can't cover. Isn't that the issue with the Niners safeties now, that they can't cover? You want a high-priced safety that can't cover? No thanks. Javon Hargrave had to go. Can't stop the run. Run defense was putrid. Had to be gone. Aaron Banks on the offensive line. At least he's healthy. He's somewhat durable. But is he worth close to $20 million that the Packers paid him? Absolutely not. Jalen Moore going to the Chiefs. Their number 3 offensive tackle. Was he worth $12-15 million that he got from the Chiefs? Chiefs? Absolutely not. Debo trade. I called that in 2023 that he was gone this past offseason. Not surprised about that at all. I called it before anybody on the planet, probably. Malik Collins, a bit surprising. He was good against the run, and Leonard Floyd, a little bit surprising, but those were salary dumps and age dumps. Although Leonard Floyd's been pretty dependable and durable throughout his career, and they could definitely use him now as at least a third down pass rusher. So you could say that, Huff was the replacement for Floyd, but it would have been nice to have them both. The extensions for Warner and Kittle were deserved, well-deserved. It freed up short-term cap space that they can roll over to 2026. And I don't care what anybody out there thinks about the extension for Brock. You couldn't predict the turf toe injury or anything like that. His $53 million annually is wildly well-deserved. Brought him to a Super Bowl, brought him to an NFC Championship game his first 2 years, MVP finalist in year 2. Yes, last year all went to shit. But his season last year, again, was Matt Stafford's last 3 years, 22, 23, 24, for the Rams. I know he's having a very good season this year. We're going to get into that. So if you love Matt Stafford, then you got to be okay with what Brock Purdy did last year. Statistically, it may look a little bit different during the games, but put them up against each other productivity-wise. Brock's 2024 equals Matt Stafford's last 3 years with the Rams. Look it up if you don't believe me. Mac Jones and Robert Saleh have been godsends for this team. Maybe Mac Jones a little more so than Robert Saleh, because the defense, while better than last year, is middling. The Niners, still with Mac Jones playing 7 games and he's 5-2, are a top 10 offense, top 5 passing team. And yeah, the running game, and points scored are bottom 10. You would like more out of the running game, out of the 3.5 yards per carry that they're averaging so far this season. Maybe that improves. I'm not sure if it does or doesn't, but as long as Kyle commits to it, I really don't care. And as long as he gets Brian Robinson, involved a little bit more, I really don't care. They're playing complementary football, running and passing. They're just not having this success. And when your guards are getting blown up the way that either Barch or Colby and Spencer Burford played well last game. I don't know if he's going to remain the starter now that Ben Barch is back. And Puny hasn't been playing nearly as well as he has his rookie year. You show me where the running lanes are. You could have Walter Payton, Jim Brown, Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk, Eric Dickerson, whoever you want back there. Nobody would be finding a crease consistently to run. So again, lazy narrative by non-tent creators out there that want to drum up controversy and be misery merchants, also known as the Grant Cohn Clown Clique. Saleh, though, I mentioned Mac and Saleh. Saleh's gotten the young guys to play hard, right? They experimented with Marquise Siegel at safety. I know he had a good training camp. Too much youth back there. Couldn't cover. Not to say that he's not going to be a good safety, but it seems like, at least for this past week, they've settled on Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa as the safeties. You have youth on the line. It was Alfred Collins and Michael Williams before Williams got hurt. You're playing youth in a second-year player in Tatum Bethune at linebacker. Nick Martin's not going to sniff the field for a while. And you have a second-year corner in Renardo Green and a rookie in Upton Stout that are also playing in the secondary. He's getting them to play hard. He's getting them to play fast. Are they making mistakes? Sure. You just have to hope that they're not making the same mistakes 2, 3, 4 times, that they're learning from it, that they're growing, and that Robert Saleh is adjusting and tailoring his game plan accordingly. Whatever the game plan was against Houston was terrible. Whatever the game plan drive one against the Giants wasn't really much better. And then they actually settled in and put the clamps on the Giants until the fourth quarter, when the Giants got 2 garbage touchdowns with about 10 minutes to go. When Michael Williams got hurt against the Giants, non-contact injury on that awful MetLife turf, that represented all 4 top defensive ends to start the season, week 1 for the Niners, being hurt. Bosa, Michael, Huff, and Yatur. You'd be hard-pressed to find any other team the past 10 years that would have to deal with that midway through the season, not even mentioning all the other injuries that the Niners have endured. Now, all that said, their ceiling to me is still 11-6. That was the ceiling for a healthy team. I thought was 12-5. I think their ceiling is 11-6, maybe winning the West, If they do that, they would get a home playoff game, maybe winning a home playoff game and getting bounced in the divisional round. I think that's their ceiling. Now, again, we have no idea with 8 games remaining for the Niners, 9 weeks counting a bye week. Who else in the league, their opponents, front-running teams, are going to get hurt, right? You see how much one injury, Lamar, totally derailed the Ravens. How basically the Jaden Daniels injury is derailing the Commanders. Although, again, I'm not a believer in Dan Quinn. That defense has been terrible now for 2 years. You got to show me something, Dan. That was a healthy-ish team, and Jaden Daniels having a spectacular rookie year. That was more him and Cliff Kingsbury at the OC than it was Dan Quinn, rallying the troops or doing anything leadership-wise, and certainly not making a difference on the defense. 11-6 is the ceiling. But even if they go 4-4 the rest of the way, that's 10 wins and should get them a wild card spot. Going 5-3 might get them the West, especially if some of those wins are against the Rams and Seahawks. And hopefully the Rams and Seahawks can beat up on each other. Maybe the Cardinals can get on the act and win one against either of one of those teams. But going 4-4 the rest of the way. Now, the Niners started out 3-0. They've been a 3-3 since. So they've been playing 500 football the last 6 weeks. If they can play 500 football the rest of the way, with not a super daunting schedule, they're going to be a playoff team. They should be favored to be a playoff team right now. And of those wins, they need to beat Carolina and they need to beat Chicago because they're in the mix with them, at least for that 7 seed. They already beat Atlanta. Have the tiebreaker on Atlanta. I don't think Minnesota is going to catch fire. They're going to fall by the wayside. Dallas, I'm not believing in. Plus, they have 3 wins. They're 2.5, 3 games behind San Francisco. I don't think they're going to be anything to worry about. And obviously, then you have the Giants of the world. Washington's not going anywhere. So it's all in front of San Francisco. Now, you need to beat Chicago and Carolina. They got Tennessee later on in the year. That should be a win, which means you just have to get one of the following. At home for the Rams, at the Cardinals, at the Browns, at the Colts, and at home for Seattle. Could they drop all 5 of those games? Sure. But who knows with the Rams, a division game? We didn't see it coming week 5. Who knows? Arizona, winnable game. Cleveland, a winnable game. Indianapolis, who knows what they're going to be then? And Seattle, maybe the Seahawks don't need that game, but the Niners do for a wild card. Who knows? But to think that they can't go 4-4 the rest of the way, and anyone that's just going to sit down and piss and moan that it's not a Super Bowl team, well, you know what, guys? More Niner football is better than less Niner football. And even if it means a wild card game on the road as the 7 seed going to the 2 seed, whoever that is, Detroit, Green Bay, the Rams, I'll take it because we're all going to be pissing and moaning when football season's over, at least for San Francisco, and we have to wait another 6 or 7 months for the season to come back. So enjoy it while it's here. Not every season's going to be a Super Bowl season, but at the same time, you don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Who's going to catch fire if the offense does, if the defense starts playing a little bit better, if there's injuries on other teams. We just don't know. But to give up on the season because, and anyone said, oh, they're waving the white flag because they didn't make a big trade. Come on, guys, use your head. It's shoved so far up your asses if you believe that you may need some Vaseline and a crowbar to get it out. Just be realistic with it. We all love this team, love following it, have been following them for probably decades at this point, right? Be thrilled about what's there. If you want to be, if it was a 3-6 team with these injuries and you're looking at the rest of the schedule going, oh, I don't think they can get 7 wins. All right, great. That's why all those early wins that they stacked were so important. Because the back end of the schedule has a handful of winnable games left. Now, let's just talk about quickly Niners-Rams, 425, one of the national games on Fox. The Rams are favored by 4.5 points. That is not insulting. That feels absolutely right. Let's go back to week 5 quickly. Niners win at 26-23 in overtime. What were the differences? Well, the Rams had 2 turnovers, very untimely, one by Blake Corum in the first quarter, one by Kyron Williams at the goal line, courtesy of Alfred Collins. Niners, no turnovers. Niners won the time of possession battle by 14 minutes. Huge, huge, huge. If the The Niners win the turnover battle again, 2-0, and they can win the time of possession battle by, say, 8 to 11 minutes. That'll go a long ways towards potentially winning this game. Running the ball, both teams, not good. Niners, 33 for 74. The Rams, 16 for 78. The Niners never gave up on it. The average was about 2.5 yards a carry, probably less than that for San Francisco. But the Rams, and I've said this on previous podcasts, they voluntarily went away from the run because they were throwing the ball all over the yard on San Francisco. And when they needed the run in the fourth quarter to get the first down, the Niners came up with a big stop. Passing, Mac went for 342 and 2 touchdowns. Stafford, 389 and 3 touchdowns. The Niners had Warner that game. They don't this game. And Marquise Siegel at safety was the leading tackler. He's not in the starting lineup anymore. Not saying that anything offsets each other. I'm just kind of giving you facts. Since then, Stafford's been on a tear. In total, 21 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. Is one of the leading MVP candidates, and rightfully so. Puka Nacua, who missed a game right before their bye, has been having a great season. Devontae Adams, we all thought he was washed, is having a good season. Kyron Williams at running back is having a pretty good season, on pace for about 1,100 rushing yards, averaging 4.4 yards per carry. The defense, just as good as the offense. They are one of 2 teams that are in the top 5 DVOA offense and defense. It's them and the Seahawks, which means it is a tough hill to climb for the Niners in the West, but not impossible. Why is it not impossible? Because they beat the Rams and the Seahawks already. They get the Rams again, and they get the Seahawks at home last week of the season. The Rams defense, though, 27 sacks on the season, led by Byron Young with 9. Jared Verse has 4. Those 2 players combined with 13 have more than the 49ers as a team, who have 11. The Rams are number 2 in the league in points allowed, allowing 15.9. Their last 3 wins at Baltimore without Lamar, they won 17-3 in, was it London or overseas? They beat Jacksonville pretty obviously convincingly, 35-7. And they won at home last week against the Tyler Show first start of the year, led New Orleans Saints 34-10. So the last 2 games have been about 2 of the last 3 games have been against bad teams. The Ravens defense, terrible. Offense, not much better without Lamar. But they were very sound against Jacksonville. And after the Niner game, they are home for Seattle, home for Tampa, and at Carolina. All teams that right now are above 500. Niner injuries. I'm doing this Thursday morning. I doubt Brock plays. He's got a chance. He's got a chance. Brock's had a chance for 4 weeks. He's got no fucking chance. He's not going to play. Kyle came out and said it's going to be something that Brock's going to have to deal with. It's never going to fully heal this year. We should have known that shit, or you should have said it 3 weeks ago. I don't know if this is gamesmanship or just toying with the media and the fans. Brock's not playing. Brock wasn't close to being a backup last week at the Giants. And I'm a firm advocate of, if Brock can be healthy enough to be the number 3 quarterback, put his ass in there. Because if it was a close game against the Giants and Matt gets hurt, Brock Purdy is the difference between a potential win and a loss. Adrian Martinez is not that. Again, unless Matt gets hurt, the Niners are up 25 with 10 minutes to go in the game. Anything else, Adrian Martinez is not going to lead you back or hold on for a win. So I'm still especially since it doesn't count against your 48-man game day actives, get Brock's ass in a uniform. And the fact that he's not goes to show how truly far away he is. I know people out there just say, oh, that's not how you should treat your starting quarterback. It's what's best for the goddamn team. If Matt gets hurt and they want to fake an injury to Adrian Martinez and Brock can go out there and play, get his ass in there, because every win, 4 wins matter. They got to get to 4, and I think they're pretty good. They get to 5 more wins and 11 total, then they're golden. But this is a huge game because it's not only, it's a division game, so it's so big, but it's a division team that's a half a game ahead of you. And to get that tiebreaker on them, if you end up with the same record, is so friggin' huge. Same thing for week 18 against the Seahawks. So big. Pearsall's not going to play. He didn't practice yesterday. Doubt he's going to practice today. The fact that he wasn't put on IR, I just think is such a negative against the Niners training staff. Wow, it's not healing as quick as we thought. McCaffrey had a PCL sprain against Buffalo last year. He was done for the year. I'm not saying Pearsall's done for the year, but you really thought it was going to be less than 4 weeks? Come on, guys. Why is this organization, from a health standpoint and a medical evaluation standpoint, such a fucking shit show? Could have had him on IR. I don't know who you would have brought in, but it's such a joke. Like, this is the ultimate dick tease. Brock, big cock Brock, the ultimate dick tease. He's got a chance. He's got a chance. Pearsall's not playing. If he didn't practice Wednesday, I doubt he practices today. And even if he practices Friday, that's not good enough. That's not a good enough run up to get him in the game. Maybe Ben Barch is back. Woohoo. Who cares? Right? Like, if Spencer Burford played well enough, I mean, it's nice to have maybe Barch as a backup option or whatever, but he would eat up your last spot on your 53-man roster because there is one opening once Michael goes on IR. It should go to Cleveland Farrell, but it's going to go to Ben Barch more than likely. Regardless, Cleveland Farrell is going to get elevated. I don't know if they're going to make 2 elevations. They could if they want to. Cleveland Farrell will definitely be one, and the defensive ends will be Bryce Huff coming back. Keon White plays inside outside, obviously. Robert Beal, Sam O, and Farrell. So 5 potential DNs, and you have to elevate Cleveland Farrell for no other reason than, well, obviously he provides something, but Huff coming off of the hamstring, you have no idea if he's going to be on a snap count or anything like that. Now, the game plan for the Niners to win, it's got to be the same as week 5. You have to win the turnover battle convincingly. It can't be, I think, a 1-0. You got to get 2. You got to get 2 and win the time of possession battle. That needs to happen. You have to get the quick passing game going. The Rams have a very good front 4 that are equally elite at rushing the passer and stopping the run. So dial up that West Coast quick passing attack, spread it around between Bourne and Robinson and Jennings and Kittle. You want to throw Sky Moore, Justin Watkins in there, knock yourself out, or Jordan Watkins, and of course, McCaffrey out of the backfield. You got to protect Mac. He was only sacked twice against the Giants, I think, or just once or twice against the Giants and only once against the Rams. They were 2 half sacks, for whatever that's worth. Got to keep him upright. Upright Mac, plus quick passing game, plus next one, a commitment to the run. It can look like what it looked like game 1 against the Rams, 33 for 78. That's okay. You just have to stay committed to it. You can't go away from it because it keeps the Rams guessing. It's going to get linebackers to creep up at some point, unless the front 4 or front 5, because the Rams are probably going to play a decent amount of front 5 against San Francisco. Keeps the defense honest, and at some point you can take shots downfield, but it also slows down the pass rush. Every running play means Mac's not getting hit, whether it's for a sack, to the body, to the knee, injury, reflaring up the knee, whatever. Every running play is one less potential hit that Mac takes. And let's get Brian Robinson involved also. You want to have a 33 run game, then it should be 10 to 12 for Robinson and the other 20 for McCaffrey, because he's going to have, probably 6, 7, 8 receptions as well. On the flip side, can you limit the Rams' run again? Although that was voluntary. I mean, they weren't running it great, but McVay in the second half was like, screw this, let's just throw it, which means it's going to be a big day for Demo. What he's going to be able to do against whoever he's lined up with, whether it's Puka or Devontae Adams. Same for Renardo Green. Same for whoever Upton Stout draws inside. If you can make the Rams one-dimensional or cause the Rams to voluntarily become one-dimensional, then the pass rush, which I know isn't that great, doesn't have to play run. They can pin their ears back and attempt to get after Stafford. Stafford's going to get his. He's going to throw for over 300. It's just a matter of how much, right? But are you going to come after him in the process? Are you going to hope and play your normal, hope you can get there with 4? Are you going to be, again, another bottom 6 blitzing team? Or are you going to try to force the issue, go down swinging? And I know there wasn't, again, if you can emulate the blueprint from game 1, then, and you can guarantee me it's going to work, then fine. The Rams are probably a better team that they are now than they were that game. And I'm not sure you could say the same about San Francisco. If they're better, they're marginally better, incrementally better. I don't think they've taken any sort of quantum leap from that game. So we'll see what the Niners, what Saleh has dialed up, how they can slow the Rams down. And this is a game where you have to play complementary football. We didn't talk about special teams. Eddie Piñeiro. Eddie Piñeiro's got to have a big game from when called upon, but if the Niners are kicking field goals, they're not going to win. Punting, Morstead's, got to pin the Rams back deep. Can Robinson get another good kick return? Can Sky Moore do anything on punt returns to give the Niners favorable field position? His 4.5 spread feels right? I mean, the spread was over a tie. It started out as I think probably 4.5 or around a field goal, and then ended about 8.5 in Los Angeles week 5 at kickoff. I don't know how this line's going to move in the next 3 days. I really don't care because I'm not betting on it, but it feels right. The Rams are a better team than the Niners are right now. The Seahawks are a better team or playing better football. And if they equate to the same thing, better team, fine. But I have the Rams winning this game 27-20, dropping the Niners to 6-4. All is not lost. I had them splitting with the Rams before the season started when I predicted the Niners going 11-6. This would be a huge get if they can win this game. There's more pressure on the Rams than the Niners, guys, even though the Rams are the better team. The Rams cannot lose both to a division team that very well may be right there with them record-wise to end the season. And the Rams still have to play the Seahawks twice. And I think they have to play the Cardinals twice as well. So there's still a bunch of division games left for Los Angeles. More pressure on the Rams. The Niners, for the majority of the season, you have to say they've been playing with house money. It doesn't mean Kyle goes for it on every fourth down or you play reckless like they did at the end of the first half, deciding to throw at the Giants 38 seconds left at your own 28 when you were already up 10. You hand the ball off, you see what you get on first down, and then that dictates what you do. And of course, if the Giants call a timeout or not, that dictates what you do the rest of the half. You don't get reckless against this team. There's a fine line between aggressive and reckless. The Niners can't cross it. They have to stay aggressive, probably at times to keep pace with the Rams, because I don't think this is going to be a absolute solid masterclass where they completely put the clamps on, because just the Rams offense can overwhelm the Niners defense at times. And the Rams defense can overwhelm the Niners offense at times, where the Niners ironically have a leg up or an advantage is in special teams. So that's going to be about field position. And listen, if they can get a punt return or kick return touchdown, awesome. Or a huge return, very good as well. But I don't think special teams is going to be the difference in this game. I think the Rams right now are just playing really good football. They're a bad matchup kind of, even though the Niners have had a whole bunch of wins during the McVay and Shanahan going head to head, where each team is from a health standpoint, from a talent standpoint on the roster, based on who's left on the roster. That's why the Rams are favored by 4.5, guys. And 27-20 feels about right to me. We'll see. Hopefully I am wrong. And if I am, then 7-3 with a sweep over the Rams is going to feel oh so good Sunday night and Monday. But we shall see. So that's going to conclude the podcast for today. Like always, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to make us part of your viewing or listening routine. Whatever you guys are doing between now and when we speak again, stay happy, healthy, and safe. And maybe the Niners can once again buck the odds against the Rams to get a win and a sweep and potentially keep pace with the Seahawks in a very, very competitive NFC West, guys. Again, whatever you're doing between now and then, stay happy, healthy, safe. Take care. We will talk soon all.